Tom O'Neill from cv.co.nz. He joins us on the program now. Tom, kia ora.
Kia ora, dear friend.
Hey, I suppose that's the first place to start, particularly when it's at the rumour stage, I suppose.
Look,
Not to
honestly,
freak
don't
out too
panic.
much, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And for so many people, it's straight to panic stations, you
Yeah.
know. And then what they tend to do is not panic. Not that you can panic well, it's, panic badly in terms of just freaking out and really impacting their mental health and creating some pretty serious issues.
Yeah. And hey, a panicking staff member, when they're making a list of who they're keeping and who they're not keeping, if you're panicking and freaking out and bad-mouthing the company, then you're probably going to be at the top of the list in
Yeah.
that regard. I think there is an advantage, though, of acting as calmly as possible in what are stressful circumstances, regardless of whether or not the rumour turns out to be true, because honestly, if it pushes you in the direction of asking some questions about, is my CV in a good state? Do I need to scrub up my LinkedIn? I mean, there's no waste in doing that, even if the redundancies don't happen, right?
Look, absolutely. The great opportunity with this, and it sounds horrible to say it, but it is an opportunity for yourself to resell yourself
Yep.
back to your company.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people panic, start to then, as you say, start to get a bit bad mouthy, a bit sort of, snippy, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine a, team member who's doing the opposite, really chucking in, doing that bit more, really standing up, being counted for, things are tough. That makes that difference. And then, but at the same time, then you're starting to think, okay, well, what are some of my achievements I've had in the last 12 months? What are some things I've done that really a bit above and beyond? The reason why we start to think those, because then if we enter into, we enter into that negotiation stage, if it does go ahead,
Yeah.
you've got some great ammunition to be able to use in your defense and in terms of making sure you're one of the people they decide to keep.
In that situation, I suppose it's also a little bit of a warning shot that things aren't going that well with the company. And hey, I suppose it's an opportunity for you to say, am I really happy here? If the company goes under, what are my options? Okay, yeah, it allows you to, I suppose, plan worst case scenario, but then also hope for the best, right?
Look, that's exactly it, and you want to do exactly that. Plan for the worst, and but prepare for the best.
Yeah.
And that way, worst case scenario. All right, unfortunately, it's all gone, but you've gone early.
Yeah.
You've sorted out your CV, you've sorted out your LinkedIn profile. You're now ready for the market. Chances are your colleagues won't be.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but at this stage, it's about just getting your CV out there and making it work.
Mm.
Most people will then, have probably a couple of weeks or 3 weeks of decompression and trying to get their head around it, and then, start to job hunt. Well, gee whiz, they're going to be 4 or 5 weeks behind by the time, they're starting to get interviews. So again, just really getting your career ducks in a row in some respect, because the end of the day, it's always good. I mean, no matter what, even if you're in a wonderful job you love, it's always good to know what your achievements are, and know your value, not just to the employer, but to yourself.
Yeah. No, very important indeed. And hey, also I suppose an opportunity to review, is your ladder to success up against the right tree, as it were. Perhaps there is an indication, look, they're laying off staff at the moment, but perhaps this particular business or even this particular industry, there's some pressure, perhaps if not this round, maybe the whole business will wrap up a little bit. I mean, look, each individual situation is different. That you may be entering a space where some people say, hey, look, here's some redundancy. Tempting to say, well, this would allow me a reset. This would allow me to go, okay, that gives me a little bit of a financial buffer while I reinvent myself, perhaps for a different career, perhaps even in a different industry.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. A lot of people, a lot of organisations, well, actually, if they do press the button on redundancies, I mean, it's horrible. They'll pay out, pay out the person for, 4 weeks, whatever it is. But a lot of the time, if you ask them for some extra CV, coaching support, all that sort of stuff. A lot of organisations, just in a gesture of good faith,
Yep.
will actually pay for that.
Wow.
We have a number of clients who, contact us regularly and say, look, unfortunately, we're, going through a restructure, so we'd like to just put together some programs for our people. And it's really, really nice. You can tell, in some respects, a good organisation when even when people are leaving them, they're actually prepared to help support them. And so that's something I'd really tap my employer on the shoulder if you're now at that point. It's now all over. You've got the letter. Thanks very much. Really sorry. All right, well, cool. Can you help financially, not just, with pay, but also putting towards resources to CV, LinkedIn, cover letters, coaching, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, at that point, you have got nothing to lose. Some people might think, well, that's a bit cheeky. Some people may, it's a bit of an emotional journey as well, because you may not be thinking that favourably towards the employer that's just given you a redundancy letter. But as you said at the beginning, keeping calm, not panicking, keeping your cool allows you to exit well. And of course, top of the list, if you're now in the job market, telling your previous employer, calling them a range of rude names on the way out the door isn't going to get you good reviews for the next job you're applying for, right?
No, that's exactly right. You're going to make sure your referees are solid. So that's reaching out to previous employers you've worked with, but also your current employer that's now about to end, making sure they're in a good place as well. Again, you don't want to have a Pyrrhic victory where you get the moral high ground, but you've burnt the bridge, which means you're never going to have a great reference ever again from that person. So it's a terrible, terrible, terrible time. I'm not going to say anything else about it in that respect, but there is ways to come out of it with your head held high and really honouring the situation and honouring your employer. A lot of people I deal with, it's quite funny. A lot of organisations will actually pay for these services, and then we're engaged, and then you'll get to the candidate, the person, the former staff member, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want anything from them." So they'll even turn down free career and CV advice just because they're so bitter with the organisation. And you're like, oh, that's just crazy. Yeah. But this is the problem. People panic. They're full of rage, they're full of disappointment. I've been here 6 years, 20 years, 40 years, but now they've been, unfortunately made redundant. But it's time just to think about, well, what's actually best for me? Put aside the rage, the disappointment, the panic, and push forward.
Hey, some wonderful wisdom and advice. And honestly, in circumstances like this, we can't choose them. We wouldn't choose them for ourselves or anybody that we like, but we can choose how we react and respond in that situation. And hey, honestly, if anybody is in that space or perhaps just thinking, you know what, I need to work on my CV and my LinkedIn, I need to perhaps consider some career options moving forward, thoroughly recommend cv.co.nz as a great place to start. Thank you for the work that you do, the ministry that you have, and for taking the time to chat, Tom.
Always a pleasure, mate. God bless.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.